All right, we are in Chapter 4, Section 3, which for item 1, which is writing equations in point-slope form. So we're kind of back at one of these little bubbly kind of color-in pages here. So for point-slope form, the first thing we have this big bubble. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that first. It says, watch out. When you see a plus instead of a negative in either place in the formula, that represents a negative coordinate. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So really what we're doing is we're watching out for positive or negative, and I'm going to make that more like positive or negative in the formula. And I'll explain that in a moment when we actually look at the formula. So it says it's a formula for the equation of a line. So it's still a linear equation, just like slope-intercept form. But now it's using slope and 1 point. So again, it's pretty obviously named point slope. So we have 1 point and we have 1 slope. We always have 1 slope. So now it's kind of a longer equation than it was before. We were playing with y equals mx plus b. And now we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we have a bit more pieces here. But we still have x, we still have y, we still have m. The only thing that's changed is now we have x1 and y1. So this is the y coordinate. What am I spelling? I was going to say intercept. Coordinate. Y coordinate from point 1, which should be, the point that we're given there. Sometimes we are given more than 1 point and we have to find slope, just like we did in the last section. But we're focusing on point 1 here. So x coordinate, help them, I'm spelling that right, from point 1. All right. And the last piece we have here, just the label, is just slope, just like it was before. So whenever we see m in our equations here, it's going to be slope when we're talking about a linear equation. So this watch out refers to, actually not this negative, it refers to this negative because it's in a grouping. What it means is we have to kind of flip the signs when we're putting it in. So when you see a positive instead of a negative, it's because there's already a negative here. So it is actually both. So since there's already a negative here, if you see a plus instead of a negative, what it meant was this coordinate was negative, and you had minus negative, so it became a plus. Same thing here. If I see a plus sign, it means that I had a minus negative. So this coordinate was actually negative. That's all it's saying. Is just be careful, because sometimes we see y plus a number, and what that meant, it was actually negative, and there were just two negatives that kind of reacted to each other there. All right, let's go to the next page here, because we're going to practice this a little bit. So this is kind of just like what we did on slope-intercept. So we have our instructions right here. We're going to try graphing the line y plus 2 equals 1/2, and then we have x minus 4. So remember, this is our slope, and our point is the 2 and the 4. So this is our y, and this is our x. So I know there's an x and a y here, but remember there was an x and a y in y equals mx plus b too. So there's always an x and a y. This is just an extra, this is an actual point we're given. Okay, so we're going to start by placing our point. Okay, so we have x1, comma y1. So x1 is negative 4, because it's minus 4. So actually not negative 4, sorry, it's just 4, because there's already a negative in the equation. Y, this is positive, so that's that situation where we had minus negative. I know this is a negative 2. So pay attention when you're pulling that point out that if you see a negative, it just meant that it was a positive number put in there. But if you see a positive number, it means that there was that double negative issue. Okay, so let's go ahead and place this point. So it means I'm going to go over to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go down to 2. 1, 2. There we go. Then the second step here, I'm going to switch to red, why not, is from that point, count out to find the next point. So again, this is slope. This is the same exact step that we do on slope-intercept. So the starting point on slope-intercept, it was the y-intercept, because that's what we had. But the starting point for point slope is the point. And then we go from there, we use the slope. So the slope in this case is 1/2, right? So that means we can go up 1 and right 2. Uh-oh, I'm off the graph. So I can also go backwards. If they're both positive, I can actually make them both negative. So I can do this backwards, and I can go down 1 and right 2, and I still end up with that same, you can kind of hopefully picture that. That would still end up with the same line. So I'm going to go ahead and graph my line here, because that's my last step, is to go ahead and graph the line. Let's see, down 1, over 2, so it's going to be kind of like that. Boom. And it would also continue this way as well, of course, like that. So, and it would continue on and on forever. So the last thing is to connect the 2 points that form a line. All right, so very similar steps to slope-intercept. All right, we're going to do 2 problems here, and then we're going to be all done. So I'm going to switch back over to blue. And I'm giving you the point slope formula again at the top and the slope formula here, just so that you see it again. So the first thing we're asked to do is just write an equation of a line that passes through the given point and the given slope. So remember, this is x1, this is y1, this is m. All we have to do is plug in to the pieces of this formula. So y equals y1. Well, y1 is -7 equals m, which is -1, x minus x1, x1 is 4. We do need to clean it up a little bit, because Alex would not be happy about this. We don't want to see minus negative, so we'd have to go y plus 7. And then equals, we really wouldn't need to put the -1 on the front. We'd just go negative like this. Alex may even want you to distribute that, but it should be okay with you leaving it there. It actually might be fine with you leaving the -1 in front, just because it is a negative. So it's a little different than just 1. But dropping the 1 away and just having a negative sign in front of the parentheses also means the same thing. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and look at that next one. So this is the answer. This is an equation of the line. So the next one says write an equation of the line that passes through each of the pair of points. So just like in slope-intercept, now they're giving us 2 points, but remember we need 1 point and a slope. So we're going to subtract the y's on top, and we're going to subtract the x's on bottom, and that's going to give us our slope here. So remember, this is x1, y1, and I'm just doing 0.1, 0.2, like that. So I'm not color coding this one, sorry. That's 2 and 2. So x coordinate from point 1, y coordinate from point 1. Again, that's all the 1's mean, and the 2's, x coordinate from point 2, y coordinate from point 2. It's not anything we're multiplying, it's not an exponent, it's part of the name. It's an indicator. So we have y2, so that's -8, minus y1, so that's 12, x2 on the bottom, whoop, didn't mean to mark my board here, x2, so that's 4, minus x1, which is -1. So we end up with -8 minus 12, so it gives us -20, because I add these together and keep the negative sign. Remember, this becomes positive minus negative, that's a double negative. So this becomes 5, -20 divided by 5 is 4. If you notice, This is exactly the same problem as we did in the section for slope-intercept. So we're just redoing it again with point-slope. So we're just using it slightly different. But it's the same points. We're just using them again. So now we're going to put 0.1 in. So I would just go ahead and choose the one you labeled for 0.1 to keep that straight, so that you understand it's y1 and x1. So y1 is 12. M we just found is 4. And x1 is -1. So the only thing we need to clean up here is make sure we don't put minus negative. We want to turn that into a plus sign. And there we go. We wrote an equation of that line. So that one wasn't too terribly bad there, right? All right, so that is section 3, and I will see you in section 4.